Hi, welcome back to the Next Row Knitters Club. I hope you have some time to just sit and visit with me and get some knitting or crocheting done while you're listening, and hopefully get inspired by some of the projects I'm doing, and hopefully send me some comments, because it is much more fun to do this when I'm getting feedback and I know that you're watching and that people are out there. It's not just me talking into the void. So I am Rachel. As I've said before, I am betwixt and between. I am selling my house in Texas and moving to New York. It is a huge, bold move with lots of pieces of a puzzle that have had to get and will continue to have to get filled in, and I'm not gonna lie, it has been stressful. I know that they say that marriage is ending and moves happening and illnesses, all of those are kind of top stressors for the human mind and body. And I can definitely feel this time around that the move it's kicking my butt. But I will get there. I'm making progress. The house is now under contract and just have to get to the closing, just have to get everything packed up. As you can see, some of the shelves are cleared, lots to go, and everything seems to take longer than you think it's going to take, because you stop and go, oh, I remember that, or oh, what happens if I give this up at this point in my life? Am I ever going to want it again and be mad at myself? So I have a lot of finished objects. This is probably the last podcast until I'm settled in my new home, because things are getting pretty tight and crazy time-wise. But I just wanted to pop in and show the finished objects, some of the things I'm continuing to work on. One of the things that is part of my thinking process as I go through this packing for the move is, what will I knit? What will I have access to? What would I be horrified to lose if it didn't make it on the moving truck and something happened or whatever? So maybe I'm catastrophizing and overthinking, overworrying, but those are the things I'm thinking about. There is a lovely yarn store near where I'm moving that I've been to many times. I could certainly get yarn if I somehow miraculously knit through everything before the moving truck got there. So it's not an actual problem, I realize. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I have enjoyed hearing from those of you who comment. I wish we could grow the channel just a little bit more, just so the community feels a little more robust. But whoever's here, I'm grateful you're here. And I will get started showing you knitwear, which is why you're here. Okay, so the first FO, I have mixed feelings about. It's the Bothy Hat by Isolde Teague, B-O-T-H-Y. It's the first time I've tried this hat. I'm thinking it might be the last time. I made a child size for my grandson. I don't know what happened, but I can't even find when I cast this on. It got left in a project bag, and then I just sort of rediscovered it and realized it was a good match for another thing I'd made him, and so they could kind of go together, so I wanted to finish it. But this pattern has some sort of like double cable decrease, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not do it beautifully. I did not execute beautifully. I found it insanely fiddly to manage and not worth the fuss for me. But it's cute. It's a ribbed hat. I don't know that you can see how the decreases work. It happens in 3 places. He will wear it with, a pretty generous cuff, I think. And it's gonna be cute, and it's gonna be great and cozy and squishy, and it goes with the next thing I'm gonna show you. but would I do it again with those cable decreases? Probably not. Okay. The next finish is the third, I think, Hella Hot Hexie Cowl by Catherine Clark of the Brooklyn General Store. I am obsessed with this pattern. Obsessed. It knits itself. It is so easy, and yet it has this architectural style design, these honeycombs that just look glorious. It is squishy. I have my Knit by Gigi tag, if you can see that, which I love. So it is, and maybe this is how I blocked it, but it is a little wider on the bottom, so I think it'll be perfect for kind of squishy near the neck, and then kind of can fan out or just squish up. You can see it just looks really cute with the hat. And then I have some of this yarn left over, and I think I may make him some mitts because I can, why not? So this pattern, as I said, is super fun, highly recommend, and I did it out of Primrose yarn MCN DK in Inkblot, which is the white with the little like speckles, and then TOSH DK in is that Rainwater? No, this was TOSH DK in Rainwater, and I think this is one of my favorite blues that TOSH does. It just looks like everybody's favorite pairs of jeans all sitting next to each other. And this is TOSH Merino DK in Pigeon Wing, and this is like a dusty gray blue. It's really cute. And for those of you who have been here since the reboot and the new name, you've seen the other two versions of these, but I have them packed up for gift giving. This one was the one I made for my daughter-in-law. This is the one I made for my son. And now this will get packed up and they will get them for the holidays. So I think it's a really, 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 really fun, happy set. And they're not all matchy-matchy, but matchy enough. Okay, so the big finish is the Jaunty. I think I said this is my second Jaunty. I made it once before, and I just felt like I kept getting off on the fisherman's rib, and I think I've gotten off once or twice with this second one, but not nearly as much. I really had a great system. I use a little clicker counter, and I would just make sure to count off the 8 rows of the pattern, and the pattern's memorizable. So it went really smoothly. I loved it. The yarn, unfortunately, this company does not exist anymore, I found out, this Blue Moon Fiber Company, and they had this giant cake. It was called Cake DK. It was 795 yards, 704 meters, 255 grams, and this is what I have left. So I used up almost all of this for sure. Ends are woven in, but it is not blocked. So when I was making this, you know, I've kind of been on a kick to make cozy knits that feel fallish and wintry, since I'm gonna have those, and I haven't in the 40 years that I've lived in Texas. But more than 40 years that I've lived in Texas, actually, if I'm counting correctly. So this color is, God, it's showing up so much brighter on the screen. I think if it was the color you're seeing, I might keep it, but it is not showing up like that in person. It's much more muted. It actually looks, you know, kind of brownish. It is ridiculously squishy. And if you've made this out of DK, I would love to hear comments below whether or not you blocked it. like 99% of the time I block things, almost always, whether it's socks or a hat, whatever it is, I just block it. I think it sits nicely, it looks nice, but there's something about this fisherman's rib that is so squishy, I don't know if it really needs to be blocked. It's certainly plenty big, so I'm on the fence about that. But this will be a gift probably for my son because I think he's super knit worthy, and if you could see it in person, it is, to me, more, it's just not my colors. You can see from my color palette, I really go with more brights, and if it's gonna be a neutral, I don't think it would be this kind of neutral, if that makes sense. So anyway, again, the way you're seeing it, it looks a lot brighter. The thing I did not love about this pattern, and y'all tell me it's probably user error, but my end point is gorgeous, and I was able to figure that out really easily. My starting point does not match my end point. It is much squarer, and my end point is much pointier. So I don't know if other people ended up with that, or that is completely user error, which I'm guessing it could be. But he will not care, no one will notice. It is lovely and so cozy, and you know, there are multiple ways you can wear this, and I think he will get a lot of cozy wear out of this. And also, I don't know if you guys do this, but I have been working on it at one of the most, you know, stressful interludes of my life with this cross-country move, and he has been very helpful in multiple ways. And so I was thinking the other day that it's kind of fitting that I have been knitting some of my gratitude for him into this project. And so then I will give it to him and let him know that, you know, that is kind of what was going on as I was knitting. I was thinking about how helpful he's been and being appreciative of that. Okay, so that's all the FOs. I do have an HO, or a half finished object. And that is my SOXPLORATION sock by Denise DeSantis, who is the queen of sock knitting. I know there are other people who are also extraordinary, but she just makes everything seem so manageable and simple. And I absolutely, again, this is part of my, you know, knitting up deep stash, because I had to face the fact that I had a ridiculous amount of stash. And these two colorways just, gosh, I just love the way, so I've cast on the second one already, and I think that will come on a trip with me soon, but these are the two colors. So the orangey color is aptly named Pumpkin Spice Latte by Machete Shop, and I love this color. And the purpley color is Japanese Maple by Barnyard Knit. And there is, you know, there are little flecks of that color in the cider color. It's just perfect. It is just perfect. So this is my finished sock with the shadow wrap heel that, you know, Denise has in her book and patterns. And the one thing I did differently for me, which I really liked, was, why did I do it? There was a funny reason why I did it. Oh, I think I don't know. I can't remember if I accidentally cut the orange yarn too early, and I was gonna add in another ball, you know, just start over, and then I realized I was about to start the toe anyway, so I just started the purple earlier, so there's more purple than just the actual toe decrease. I don't know if you can see where the decrease actually starts, so there's maybe like an extra inch or something, and I love that. I love that it's just this very kind of big toe. I did the heel in the Machete Shop, but I did the cuff and toe in the Barnyard Knit color. and I haven't heard anything about Machete Shop recently. I assume they're still dying, but let me know in the comments below what you think about that, or if you know about that. And then the Barnyard Knits just put up some absolutely gorgeous new colors. So if you are in the market for yarn, and I had to remind myself I'm not, go check it out, because gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Okay, so that gets us through sort of one ongoing WIP and my 3 FOs. And then I wanted to touch base again about my step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. So as you can tell, as I've talked about, garments are not my comfort go-to knit. I love shawls, I love accessories. I'm pretty certain that if I do more garments, I will start to feel more comfortable. That's kind of how life works. But there's something about knowing that there could be a complicated feeling about fit when it's done. Will it be too tight in places that I don't like my clothing to be tight, or will it hit me at a weird place? And I know these are things that we should be able to control, but there's a lot of factors that contribute: how the yarn works, your gauge, how the pattern's written, and your ability to follow it correctly and easily, and just all of that. So I am trying the step-by-step sweater because it was exactly sort of the style that I was looking for, but it also had extra hand holding, and I thought, okay, that'll be my safety net. If I get stuck, there's extra videos and things like that. So this is not like a normal color for me, this green. And I don't know, I can already tell, like just putting it next to my neck, that mohair is a little scratchy. But I think it is really stunning and warm, and I think I will love it. I think I told the story before that when I was a teenager, I went on a trip to Europe with a group, and I didn't spend any money. I was so terrified of, in those days it was traveler's checks. I was so terrified of running out of the little amount of traveler's checks my parents had given me. And then our last stop was England, and I had all this money to spend, and there was a store that had these gorgeous sweaters, turtleneck sweaters, one in like a caramely brown and one in this color green, if I remember correctly. And I bought them, and luckily I left Texas to go to school in New England, so I actually had reason to wear them. And I don't know what happened to them. At some point I must have given them away. But that green one in particular always held a special spot in my heart. I just thought it was really stunning. So that's sort of why I am making this. So anyway, I've split for sleeves, you can see, so I've gotten a little further. This goes really slowly, and it is really hot here, so I don't really feel like wearing it working on it all that much. The yarns I'm using, KELBOURNE Woolens-SCOUT in the color, what is it called? Meadow Heather, and you can see it is gorgeous. And then this ROWAN KIDSILK HAZE in Jelly. And it's a lot lighter, and it just is really, when you see it, it brings out this really, sorry for all that, brings out this really sort of yellow, goldy, greeny, it's pretty. So we'll see. I think this I will, be at Rhinebeck this year, and I just got tickets for Indie Untangled for one of the slots. I don't know if I'm going to go to anything else. I'm tempted, but I also don't want to overdo it, because obviously I don't want to buy tons of yarn when I'm transporting basically a yarn store from Texas to New York right now. So anyway, that is the step-by-step sweater, and I really like it. So next, there is another pair of socks that's been getting some love. These are the Drippity Drop socks. Let's see if I can show you the finished sock pattern. Okay, the Drippity Drop socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And if you haven't tried this, this is such a cool pattern. There are only 2 pattern rows alternating with 2 plain rows for a 4-row repeat. And again, I use my little trusty clicker. If I have to leave it, I know that I've done row 1 and 2. I need to do row 3. It is so gorgeous. And I think, as I said last time, it would be really fun to do something in this pattern with some greens and blues, because this just looks like mermaid scales to me. There, you can see it. It's just so pretty. And yeah, I mean, not anything else I can say other than the yarn is a yarn I've never heard of before. Yep, and found in my stash. Clark and Elle, and let me know below if you know of them or have bought from them, because this yarn is ridiculous. Look at that. And the name is Georgia, We're Podcasting. And if you know, as we all know, the Grocery Girls, this was obviously named to talk about their screaming at Tracy's daughter when she tries to move out of her room, and they are podcasting. So funny. But love that. Yeah, love the pattern. It's super easy to memorize, and the result looks crazy complicated, and it isn't one speck complicated. So that is another really fun project. I'm not sure. I'm going up to babysit for a week, even though I have no business leaving my house with all this packing to do, but I cannot, as a GG, turn down a request to be with my grandson. So I'm heading up there, and I'm thinking of, as we all do, travel knitting. And I think I'm just gonna bring a pair of socks, because I'm not actually gonna have a lot of knitting time other than on planes. And I personally find that the times I've taken something like a shawl on a plane, the physical space that you have is so limited that I don't feel comfortable usually pulling it out and, you know, having these long needles and all of that. So I think I'm gonna stick to a sock. The question is, do I wanna work on the second sock of the cider socks, or do I want to take the Drippity Drop socks, which are a lot more fun, a little more interesting to work on because there's that pattern. I would take both, but I am trying to only go with a carry-on. So anyway, you don't need to know all of that, but that's what I'm thinking. And then I was going to show you the shawl, speaking of shawls, that I've been working on, the 3-color cashmere shawl by Bothy Hat. I had finished the Party on My Needles, and if you want to see that, you can see it finished in the last podcast, episode 41. That I did for my realtor in New York, and hope she'll like it, because she's lovely and so helpful, so I wanted to do something special for her. And then I was in the mood for using singles and another Bothy shawl, so I tried this one. By the way, I think I've talked about the fact that I've made bags, and I may go back to making bags when I get up there to pay for some of this moving expenses. You never know. But I love this style that I came up with. It has a fun sort of square bottom. It snaps, and I've really decided that zippered project bags are not my favorite. I have gotten yarn caught in them one too many times, and it is scary and frustrating. And oh, that's what happened. That's what happened when I had to cut the orange. It got caught in the zipper of this project bag, which I also made, and I had to cut it to get it out. I couldn't find a way to get it out. So that's why I cut the orange, and that's why I started the purple earlier. See, I knew there was a reason. But anyway, these bags are really fun because then you can make like a bucket out of them. I also always put color coordinated little stitch markers on there too. So maybe I will start my Joan Mag bags business up again when I get to New York. But this is so fun. It reminds me of the colors of like an Indian sari silk fabric, and oh, it is so cute. So cute. And I made a mistake where I did an extra 2 rows of the pink where I should have done orange, and I don't even care. It's gorgeous, it's fine. I'm not a knitting perfectionist, if you couldn't figure that out yet. This is my fun time and my creative time. But you can see it starts with these 4 sections alternating the colors with eyelets, little holes, and then it goes to the stripe. And this is the gorgeous orange. It is Mad Tosh Merino Light in Citrus. Oh my God, is that gorgeous. And then this is Mad Tosh Merino Light in Coquette. This is not one of my all-time favorite colors. It was, at one time I bought a ton of it, and now that I'm knitting with it, I'm thinking it's just, I like it, but it's not. But the 2 of them together are great. And then of course, in my vast stash, I had another single, which was from Less Traveled Yarn Skinny Singles in Singapore Sling, and it just combined those colors so perfectly. There is specks of orange, specks of that deep purpley pink. So this is the 3rd color in the 3-color cashmere shawl, and I'm almost ready to start with that. So I think that will be really fun. I can't tell. I like really big shawls. This is really long. It looks like, I don't know if it's going to be deep enough for me to really love, but I've got, you know, a lot of knitting still to do. So we will see. But it has been a fun project to work on. It's very uncomplicated and intuitive and relaxing, and highly recommend if you are interested in, you know, a shawl. And I think shawls are, I think they're just perfect for every season. So I love, you know, if you have like a thin dress or a strapless dress or a sleeveless dress, and you are at a restaurant and there's air conditioning, or the weather gets a little chiller if you're lucky to live somewhere where that happens. That doesn't happen in Texas. And you can just cover your shoulders. I also love that when you're traveling, I have been recently, and I run really hot, but I have recently been on planes where all of a sudden it just is freezing. And it is really nice to just have something to just cover your neck and keep you a little toastier. And then obviously for winter, even a thin shawl can be wrapped up around multiple times around your neck, tucked into a coat, and will keep you warm. So yeah, go shawls. I am going to go through my shawls that I have made before I move and just make sure that I do want still to keep all of them. It is hard to give away something that you put so much time and effort into, but I am trying to get better at this stage of my life about releasing things into the wild that that I don't need, you know, that I don't want or need. That Marie Kondo, you know, does it lift it up and say, does it bring you joy? You know, all my yarn brings me joy, and I could really not get rid of much of it at all, apparently. But once I've knit with it, if it's an item that I don't really wear or don't like the colors anymore, and there were some that I think may fit that bill that I just, you know, there's a shawl I made to go with a particular dress I was wearing to a wedding, and it's never a shawl I reach for. So I have an idea about maybe gifting some of those to someone who might enjoy them. Okay, is that it? Let me double check my notes. Yes, that is it. So I just wanted to plug one thing that I'm streaming, or I streamed, because it was only season 1 and there are only 6 episodes and it goes super quickly. It's on Hulu, and I'm not sure if you can get it anywhere else or where you can get it, but it is worth looking for if you like kind of dark British humor. So one of my favorite British actresses, Nicola Walker, stars as a woman in her probably 50s, I guess, who has a guy best friend, and they, you know, they don't have a romantic relationship. I think maybe long time ago they did, but she's married, he's divorced, but, you know, when we meet them, their relationship is really a friendship with tons and tons and tons of history. And then, you know, as storytellers or screenwriters know, the thing that happens that's thrown into the mix to blow everything up is called like the inciting incident. And the inciting incident for this series is that her daughter and her best friend, guy, best friend, fall in love. And it is crazy how things implode when that happens, but it is very well done, very funny, albeit, you know, as I said, dark humor, but very wonderful, great acting. It ends on such a ridiculous note that I couldn't believe that was the end of the season. I thought for sure that I had missed something and they were dropping separately and there would be more. But it is a small, like 6 episode season. And the good news is I read today that it has been picked up for season 2. So don't fear, if you love it, it will be back. So that is all I've got, and this may be goodbye for quite a while because, as I said, I will not really have time to podcast. I will be busy packing and moving and all of that. There is a chance that I may squeeze in a podcast from a different location at the end of July. That is a possibility. But again, I don't even know how much knitting I'll have done, if it'll even be worth it. So if you don't see me for a while, keep knitting. You are still a member of the Next Row Knitters Club. I am just getting to this next row in my life where I need to make this, and I want to make this giant move. But just with knitting, we just breathe and get excited for the next row to come. So see you later. Have a great rest of your weekend, your week, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.